Hey, Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show. I'm Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, SpiderManFanRave.com. It's a wonderful Spider-Man website. I run it personally. It's just the ravings of a Spider-Man fan, and those ravings are done by me. I write articles, reviews, anything you want, you could find over there, SpiderManFanRave.com. Go on over there, tell your friends about it. Have a good time if you're a Spider-Man fan. Or if you just like, good websites, I guess you can go over there. Tonight I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
Well, it's just in the middle of a busy work week right now. I work 4 straight days in a row, including today and yesterday, the day before, and yesterday were killer. Where I had to work 6 hours, 3 till 9, got off, and then I had to come in at 4 in the morning.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
It was not in a bad way, but in a whole kind of, I only got like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Let's just say when I got home today, I took a long nap when my mom was watching Love Boat.
I usually take it as if the time you spend at work is more than the time you spend at home, like including sleeping time, like something's wrong with the world. So yeah, that does not sound good. I'm gonna admit that. I pity you, James. I really do. In terms of my week this week, not much. Just trying to get some books for my summer class that I'm going to take this summer, which I'm looking forward to. That should be fun. It's a fun class. It's a piano class. So I'm looking forward to that. What else? Not really all that much.
Wonder Woman pulled a Superboy this week and punched a hole in her reality of all her different continuity. I'm not bullcrapping you. Wonder Woman Rebirth #1. She's literally kind of everything is all connected. It's just the Watchmen fucked around the timeline. So she's like trying to say, so then what's my correct origin then? Because the timeline being fucked around 20 times in 30 years. And she finally she looks at herself in the mirror and she's seeing all these visions of the different timelines, the different eras of Wonder Woman. And then she just goes, punches it, and I'm reading it and I'm like, what?
The best.
I think she did.
The best comic books, the best piece of literature ever written, Superboy Prime punches a wall and changes reality. That is the best That is the best piece of literature ever written. It's amazing. But okay. But this is not a DC podcast. This is not a Rebirth podcast. This is not a Superboy Prime punching walls appreciation podcast.
This ain't a Wonder Woman podcast, even though I still say Wonder Woman was the best part of that universe.
And we do not mention that. We don't mention that movie on this podcast. We do not.
Because Disney paid us off, according to some people. Because you know what, John, when we reviewed movies on here in comic books, we're internet critics. So we must have been lumped into about the whole everybody being paid off thing. So, yay, we're lumped in with other people.
Yeah, because I required payment to recognize that movie was terrible. But we're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about the present, and we're here to talk about where we're going. In terms of where we're going, we're gonna go there first. We're gonna skip over the present right now. We're gonna go there first because actually a little bit more than a year from now, Spider-Man: Homecoming is going to come out in theaters, and filming is actually due to start, I think, pretty much any day now. They're going to start production on it.
A few weeks. I've heard like early June.
Yeah, I think that they're ready to start filming pretty much any day now. And we have a little bit of casting news, and that is an actor. He's a there's that hissing sound again. We got a new actor cast for a member of Peter's supporting cast. And we'll put supporting cast in quotation marks. Yes, we have an actor named Michael Barbieri. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing his last name correctly. It looks easy, but I have a feeling I'm saying it wrong. But Michael Barbieri, he is, according to Deadline Hollywood, he is in negotiations to join the cast of Spider-Man: Homecoming. He is a 14-year-old actor And the rumor, now this doesn't come directly from this Deadline article, but this is something that's been perpetuated all over the internet, and it's caught on fairly well. And I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I have kind of a feeling that it might be. I don't know why. He is Harry Osborn, which is what I thought he was going, who I thought he was going to be when I saw him, and he's not going to be anyone from Peter's supporting cast. He's going to portray Ganke Lee, which, for those of you who don't know who Ganke is the best friend to Miles Morales, who is the other Spider-Man, the younger Spider-Man, who is currently in his own book that is damn good right now. Miles Morales Spider-Man. Go pick it up if you're not reading it right now, because damn, love it. And so, James, what do you think if this is true, which we don't have official confirmation that this is true or not, but if this is true, and if they're trying to cross Peter and Miles' supporting cast and therefore worlds over with each other like this, what do you think of this? Do you like Ganke?
It's an odd choice.
I have absolutely no idea what James just said.
I said it's an odd choice.
It's definitely an odd choice. We'll put it that way. You could say it's unexpected. You could say it's out there. James and I were talking before the show, and we said, why exactly? Because the main is that, so much of Peter's supporting cast has been done to death. You know, Mary Jane, Gwen, Harry, you know, those major players. Flash Thompson's been in 2 movies, which, you know.
3. He cameoed in Spider-Man 3, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was at the funeral. Okay. He was in 3 movies. 2 of them he spoke in. And so people are saying, well, we need a new supporting cast. Okay, here's what you do. You put in Liz Allen. You put in Sally Averill. You put in Kenny Kong. You put in the dude from Marvel Knights who got killed at Peter's high school reunion, whose name neither James nor I can remember. That guy who got...
I know they said it in the comic, but I can't remember what the name was.
The obscure character who got killed in Marvel Knights. I was going to say put in Jessica Jones, but that won't work. This universe established.
Yeah, I ignored her because of her show.
Let's see. Who else can you throw in there? I mean, come on. You could throw Flash in there. He's been in 2 movies. Like, it's not...
And he was in 3 movies. One's a cameo, the other 2 was like, he was there for the first half of the movie and then gone.
It's like, yeah, you could throw Flash in there. It's just like, if this is true,
Wait, was Flash in ASM2 during their graduation scene, or was he not there either?
He was in a deleted scene. He wasn't in the official cut of the movie, but he was in a deleted scene. But just my question, if this whole Ganke casting is true, why exactly do you need to do that? Because you have a plethora of characters that you could choose from. Like, it's Peter's high school supporting cast isn't as strict and small as I think it is. There are plenty of fish in that sea. You can pick and choose different characters. Heck, you could put Betty Brant in there, like have Peter work for the Bugle or something. Put Betty Brant as a supporting character at the Bugle with Jonah, and you can have, you know, the kids at high school. And if you want, you can use Charlie Wiederman, I guess, as Peter's best friend. I don't know. That obscure second Molten Man from JMS's run that nobody liked. But
because it was JMS again saying, I didn't read continuity, so why the hell should I care if he never really had this guy in high school as his friend?
But it's just, I don't really understand why you would need Ganke to fill out the MCU supporting cast for Spider-Man. And that's part of also my problem with it as well. If it is Ganke, is just do we need to have, like, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is going to be the definitive Spider-Man for at least the next 10 years. Do we really need to like do all of this with like it? I get that we've had 5 Spider-Man movies prior to this, but when it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe proper, I really want this supporting cast to be done right. And so I guess maybe I'm sounding like an entitled asshole right now. So James, I'm going to turn it over to you. James, just what do you are you put off by this choice? Are you happy with this choice? Or do you believe this rumor? Just let's get some thoughts out of you on this whole Gonky thing.
Like I said, why? If you want to use a Miles character, use Miles. If you want to use supporting cast people haven't used, me and John had to get all this. Hell, make up people if you have to. Because the Miles one just feels weird to me because it's not one of Peter's friends and he's relatively new. If it was Miles' friend, it's like, what, less than 4 years he's been around then?
Miles has been around since 2011, I want to say.
Yeah, so about 5 years. I mean, if you want to go to Peter Parker in high school, why didn't they just use Kong? That's the thing I don't get. Ultimate supporting cast and put it in here. Since that's Peter Parker. When I say Ultimate, I don't mean Ultimate Miles. I mean Peter Ultimate. It's like, why didn't they just use that? Why didn't they just use Kong and Liz and Flash and Harry as the popular kid and maybe Mary Jane? And then just be done with it. Like, that's the point.
And just since James brought up Mary Jane there, I'm still hoping that it's going to be Mary Jane at the end of this movie. Please, because we know that Zendaya is not supposed to have like a big role in the movie, and she's only supposed to be in it like a little bit so that they can build her character up in the next movies. I'm really hoping that Zendaya is Mary Jane, please, because I think she could rock that role so hard. I think she could be an amazing Mary Jane. I think Zendaya could be an amazing Mary Jane.
Because remember, one of the things where I thought that maybe it might not be MJ is because the comics Marvel is trying to push them as far apart as they possibly can. But Feige now doesn't have to listen to Marvel, the comics company. He just has to listen to Disney. So if they say no, don't use Mary Jane because we're trying to distance her from the Spider-Man books, he can say no.
He'll be like, you mofos are doing it wrong. I'm going to do it right. So
you know what's going to happen? The second Mary Jane is the girlfriend at the end of the movie, the face figure to the chat. Oh, Peter and Mary Jane made up in the comics. What a coincidence!
Oh, hey, it's Mephisto. Oh, hey, we're gonna
bring up Wonder Woman again. It's like DC. I'm repeating again from their Rebirth, press conference. Oh, we're not going to be like Marvel. We're not going to let the comics and the TV shows, and we're not going to be a slave to them. No, we're the source material for them, not vice versa. Let's introduce Wonder Woman in the issue having the same costume she does in Batman v Superman.
James, we don't mention that movie on this podcast.
No, but I'm saying though, like it's like no matter what. I mean, Harley Quinn from DC came from the movies. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that come from the other media. Spider-Man had other stuff that came from other media. The organic web shooters, infamously. There's a lot of stuff that comes from the other media that are vice versa the comics. With this, I got a feeling that Gonky is going to now be in the 616 if he isn't already in the Miles book. You're going to get, then it is Mary Jane. So like, look, Mary Jane and Peter back together. And if Vulture's the villain, I guarantee you the Amazing Spider-Man arc that comes out, well, the movie's out, is going to have Vulture as the main villain.
Yeah, probably it'll have Adrian Toomes in, or maybe it could be Blackie Drago. They'll just because Dan Slott would do something like that, just pull Blackie Drago out of it.
Blackie Drago is as dead as dead can get.
Is he dead? I
mean, Bart Hamilton has a better chance of coming back to him.
Oh, Bart Hamilton, the infamous
you got what you did.
Guy. But
I don't mean Bart Hamilton ebonics, and I do not care.
James made Bart Hamilton cool, which no one ever managed to do before. James for doing that.
I am going to write a Ultimate Spider-Man alternate universe where he's young again, and my Vulture is going to be street talking Bart Hamilton Green Goblin.
He'll be flying around. Like, you see Bart Hamilton, he becomes the Vulture. He'll be like, screw this Green Goblin crap. I'm going to be the Vulture.
Hey, John knows I'm writing a fanfic about Spider-Man 4, how I saw it going. But now that there's actually been, I don't know if you saw the news, but storyboards have leaked confirming that Mysterio and Vulture were going to be the villains of Spider-Man 4. So, I'm writing the fanfic. I'm going to put like a little joke. I'm really tempted now to put like a little joke in there. Bart Hamilton bought Oscorp. Wink.
Bart Hamilton bought Oscorp.
And like I said, I'm going to have him being a street-talking white guy who thinks he sounds cool, but he's not.
He's flying around.
Like, hey, G, what up, homeboys? What's going on in the hood? And they're like, dude, you're 50 and you're white and you're balding.
He's flying around. He's trying to train his like little Vulturian minions or whatever. He's like hashtag squad goals, and he's taking a selfie in midair.
Hashtag. You know how people do this when like it's Justin Bieber, like I'm throwing up the hashtag. You know, it's like Bart Hamilton doing all that.
Hashtag relationship goals. It's just him and just Norman Osborn.
Basically, imagine Bart Hamilton with Justin Bieber's personality.
That's
the skinny white Canadian pop star who wants to be a big badass forever.
So we went from Gonky to Bart Hamilton to Justin Bieber. Exactly where do we?
Personality I see Bart Hamilton having.
So exactly where do we go from here, and how the hell do we get back? Okay.
Oh, I know what they can add as a supporting cast. How about another person who went to Midtown High that nobody ever heard of until recently, until the last 5 years? Clayton Cole.
That is a nice segue off of this news topic. We don't really have anything else to say. If it is, why? If it isn't Gonky, which part of me doesn't believe it, but part of me does. I don't know why. It's just I'm conflicted.
I don't think it's Gonky because for the same reason I don't think Zendaya is going to be Michelle Gonzalez.
Zendaya has to be Mary Jane. Come on, please. I want it so bad. She would rock that role. She would be amazing at it. Okay, but we will move off of the news. That's the only week. There's nothing else really notable in terms of casting news. This week we got Civil War II Amazing Spider-Man #1, which is the separate Amazing Spider-Man Civil War II tie-in book, because Dan Slott's currently busy in the main title with Power Play. And so he was like, hey, Christos Gage, can you write a 5-issue miniseries tying into to Civil War II? Okay.
No, I find funny that you're like, oh, Dan Slott was busy with his other storyline. What is that? Peter getting into a superhero war with other heroes? But this is superheroes going to war with each other. They were better off just slapping the road to Civil War and just getting the Spider-Man tie-in was Power Play. I'm just saying that right now.
And just, oh my God, I completely lost my train of thought. What the heck was I even going to say? But this is the book that we have to pay $4 extra for because Dan Slott is currently busy doing other stuff. But we will move on to the recap here. Moving down the creative team, we got Christos Gage, writer, color artist Rain Barredo. I apologize. Cover artists Kari Randolph and Emilio Lopez. Title page design Nicholas Russell. Associate editor Devin Lewis. Editor Nick Lowe. Artist we have Travel Foreman, and letterer we have VC's Joe Caramagna. As we move into this issue, we begin in Manhattan, where we have some true squad goals at work, with the Vulturians working together to take down Spider-Man. But they're a little bit confused. Sorry for the voice crack there. They're a little bit confused because, hey, isn't this guy supposed to be in, like, China right now or something? Why is he back in Manhattan? I don't know, just go with it. So the Vulturians say, we've practiced long for this. Vulturians, Deathwing formation. Really? You guys upgrade your gear and you're still going with Vulturians. Pro tip, guys, no one likes a derivative shtick. Yeah? Tell the 40 other spider people that. Wink. And so after we move the very, very, very blatant sort of joke, lambast, maybe diss at the idea that there are 10 other Spider-Man characters around at this time, Spider-Man says, touche, I'll clarify. No one likes a bad derivative shtick. So Spidey gets in a brief fight with these Vulturians. He manages to take them out fairly easily, as you do, because they're the Vulturians. He manages to take them all out, knock them out, get them proper medical care that they need. So, Ulysses, we learn anything from all that? Yeah, your job sucks, dude. And for those of you who are not reading Civil War II, Ulysses is an Inhuman with the ability to see into the future. James, on a scale of 1 to 10, can you please rank for our viewers how original that idea is?
-10.
And the universe right now that have that exact same ability.
I mean, it's like, but that was the bullshit thing about it. Spider-Man just bought the Zodiac with future seeing power.
We spent 6 months dealing with this.
It's like Marvel couldn't put an embargo on any future seeing characters until after Civil War II. To make people, maybe if they're out of sight, they're out of mind. No!
Okay, so now that we've established that this event is completely based off of bullcrap, basically, and has no real merit whatsoever, we head over to Parker Industries 2 hours earlier, the Baxter Building, former home of the Fantastic Four. Peter he's coming back home basically from a long flight from Shanghai to Manhattan, and he takes off his suit, he strips down to his boxers, and he says, "Man, it's time to collapse into bed and enjoy the sweet, sweet silence."
He pulled a John with the whole take off my pants. You still need to do that, by the way. You said if somebody commented on the video about it, you would do it. Somebody did, and you haven't done it yet.
You know why? Because those rip-away pants, I cannot find them anywhere. I swear to God.
It's called eBay.
But fine. But just as Peter's about to get comfy in his bed, wait, lights on. Who? Johnny Storm? Hey, Pete. I wasn't expecting you for a couple more hours. So you decided to pull a Goldilocks in my bed. I was tired. You said I'm welcome anytime. And this used to be my house, motherfucker. So, yeah.
I like that Peter didn't turn Sue and Reed's bedroom, which was probably the master bedroom, hence the biggest, into his penthouse. No. He picked Johnny's room. That's kind of weird.
You know what's even weirder, James? Hey, Johnny, why exactly are you naked? I'm hot-natured. It's the only way I could sleep. So can you take that pillow off your junk? Like, I put my head on that. Okay, Peter, there is such a thing as like a washing machine, all right? It's not the biggest. You're like one of the richest guys in the world right now. It's not that big of a deal. So, Johnny...
And then Johnny jokingly goes, "Here, Chad, it's like a beginning of a sorority porno, only it's two guys with superpowers."
So,
naked pillow fight. I mean, what the fuck's going on here in this comic?
So Johnny explains what he's doing there. He reminds Peter, "Hey, it's his kid. Oh, I have to babysit again? I'm doing that right now in my own book with Miles Morales." No, this isn't really babysitting. This is more of this is I guess mentoring. So Peter and Johnny both suit up, or as much suiting up as Johnny can do already. And they head up to the roof, and they meet Ulysses and his group of Inhumans up there, so that Spider-Man can take him out, try to harness his power, learn exactly how he works. And that's when we return to 2 hours later in the present time. Sorry we got sidetracked, Ulysses. No problem. That was kind of awesome. So you just swing around till you find trouble? It's not quite that random. I have a spider sense that goes off when there's danger. And so Ulysses is like, man, you can predict problems too? No, it's more of a immediate thing. I only have seconds to react. And so just at that
shit way of explaining how Peter's power is totally unsafe with Ulysses, even though you can argue that it is because Peter's spider sense sometimes will go off and then a minute later the danger happens.
But all of a sudden, Ulysses looks over the ledge of the roof, and he's like, oh, my God. You okay? You look like you saw a ghost. Worse, that's the guy from my vision, down there, in the jacket. He's going to murder 2 people. You're sure? I saw it. Smelled the gunpowder, the blood, a man and a woman. He's going to shoot them. See, this is what I'm trying to get more details on. How do you know these visions aren't affected by, like, personal prejudices? You do know I'm Hispanic, too, right? That's not what I meant. It'd be only natural to jump to conclusions just because he's big and scary and kind of twitchy. And he's wearing a coat when it's hot out. Huh. Maybe the kid has a point. And so
Peter's like, don't worry, let the security handle it. There's nothing that's gonna happen. Ulysses goes, hey, isn't that my uncle? What? Oh my God!
So they swing off, they follow the guy. A couple blocks away, some unnamed man and woman are sitting on a couch, I'm going to assume watching some romantic comedy that probably stars Jennifer Lawrence or Jennifer Aniston, whichever one of the two. And
oh yeah, you mean it was a romantic comedy starring Jennifer Lawrence?
I was gonna go with Silver Linings Playbook, but that's a complex movie.
Titanic. Let's just say Titanic.
All right, while they're watching Leonardo DiCaprio going, giving. While we're watching Leonardo, you know what the movie they're watching? They're watching that stupid 2012 movie, that awful disaster flick that was.
Out of every movie you can name, you named 2012.
That was the stupidest movie ever, but apparently it was like a love story or whatever, and it was ridiculous.
How was it a love story? It was based on the mind. Okay, we're getting off track here. Let's continue.
This is just like secondhand information. But so the jerk with the gun and the jacket comes in on the ground now, and Spider-Man comes in, knocks him right out. Oh my God, that's my ex. I have a restraining order against him. He was gonna kill us. If you'd shown up 2 seconds later, it's a miracle you got here in time. It kind of was, wasn't it? He just looks over at Ulysses. He's like, man, I'm kind of seeing Carol's point now. Maybe I should join.
Is that it? That because of power and responsibility, that this thing was slightly maybe sort of like Uncle Ben, kind of. That Peter's like, she's totally right.
I don't know, but they get back to the Baxter building, and Ulysses explains exactly, how he manages the visions, how he doesn't get too lost in them. He's like, I used to get wrapped up in them, but now they're like bad dreams. Although sometimes I still have bad ones. I wake up screaming. That's the worst of it, especially because Mr. Storm comes running in. He's usually naked. He's hot-natured, I hear. Look, if you're not busy tomorrow, how'd you like that hot-natured quote? It's just like, it's such a weird phrase. I'm gonna say it right.
I like how Peter's talking about how naked Johnny Storm is hot-natured, and he goes, "Hey, speaking of you 16-year-old, would you like to come with me tomorrow?" Creepy.
But Spider-Man mentions, you need to come to work with me tomorrow. I want to introduce, I want to try to help you find your place in the world. And what is Spider-Man's brilliant idea for this kid to do with his powers? Hey, stand in that corner, watch all of Parker Industries' big projects, and tell us which ones are actually going to make us money in the future. That is capitalism and corporate work, if I've ever seen it, ladies and gentlemen. That is.
No, you know what the sad thing is? Every other comic book character, probably not Bruce Wayne, everyone but Bruce Wayne, a comic book character who's the rich billionaire who runs the company, they are doing the same thing Peter would have done. Tony would have done this. Hell, Tony would say, which girls would I sleep with in this club would get pregnant if I fucked them tonight?
Yeah, you're probably right, but it's just like way to give in to the corporate establishment, Peter. You got into it, and now it's gotten on you. But so Spider-Man takes Ulysses down to meet Harry. Sorry, not Harry Osborn anymore. Harry Lyman.
Does he actually say Lyman? Oh, he does. He says, "Oh, I mean Lyman." I thought they dropped that in the goddamn power play.
I hate James. I hate this so much. Every time I see that, it takes out of the book. It's ridiculous. But Spider-Man introduces Ulysses to Harry. Introduces Ulysses to Clayton Cole. For those of you who may not remember Clayton Cole as well as some others, he was Clash, and he was introduced in the Learning to Crawl miniseries from, was it 2013? Or was it 2014?
One of the Spider-Man fanboy who Peter goes, you know who should do a job here? The psychotic Spider-Man fanboy.
Hey, you know who Clayton Cole's a direct ripoff of? Except for except for the fact that he uses sonics instead of electricity. He's a ripoff of Jamie Foxx's Electro. He's a ripoff of Jamie Foxx's Electro from ASM2. But
I like how Peter just doesn't assume that he will ever go evil. Like he goes, "Oh, here's Harry Osborn. He used to be a supervillain. Oh, here's Clayton Cole." And he goes, "I was also once a supervillain." Oh no, you weren't. You were never one.
And so
what?
So Ulysses gets shown around the place by Clayton and Harry and Spidey, and it's all good fun until Ulysses has a vision, and Spider-Man notices it. So he pulls Ulysses aside. Hey, you okay? Did you have a vision? Yeah. How bad? Should I call the Avengers? No, this is something more you're gonna have to deal with. Okay. You have to remember, not everything I see comes true. Most of it does, but Ulysses, just calm down. All right. Whatever it is, I'll deal with it, all right? Just tell me. Well, that guy I met, he's going to go bad. He's going to put on a costume and fight you. Oh, man, Harry, you've worked so hard. Harry? No, that Clayton guy? Yeah, is there any reason he'd have to do something like that? Dun, dun, dun. To be continued with this ending page, Spider-Man versus Clash. On top of Spider-Man's head, too, which I can only assume is some sort of weird action figure fantasy.
I think it's just Peter remembering what happened the last time they fought.
I was kidding, James, but thanks for ruining my joke.
You know, the fight that Peter now remembers, now all these years later and last year, but he has not remembered it all in the other 50 years later that was retconned in.
I'll go ahead with my thoughts on this issue first. I will be honest, I liked this issue. This is probably one of the most positive issues I've read of anything with the words Amazing Spider-Man on it in probably like a year. It's one of the best because one, there's some plot, like there's actually a bit of plot in here where you wouldn't think there would be with the whole Clash stuff. And I will admit, I hate the Clash character. I absolutely hate him. I kind of hope he like accidentally kills himself at the end of this arc just so that I never have to see him again.
Now, are they setting up Colton being the villain of this arc, or is it setting up an even later Amazing Spider-Man?
I think it's going to be this arc because I've seen covers for like upcoming issues of this, and it has Clash on the cover fighting Spider-Man. So I think it's going to be resolved here. But I liked the opening scene with the Vulturians, and I kind of liked the jab of that are out there right now. Granted, a lot of some of the Spider characters are very strong characters that are very worthy of their own title. So, take that for what you will. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Peter's dynamic with Ulysses. I like that Peter is one of the ones who is mentoring him. I think that's a great role for Peter to be in. So I generally enjoyed that idea.
Well, it makes sense. The 16-year-old hero would train the new 16-year-old hero.
Yeah, I mean, like Peter Parker was the original teenage superhero, and so now that you've got this kid who's got a very valuable power, it makes sense
A
that
very invaluable power. I'm sorry, I'm never going to let down that they're ignoring the fact that there's mutants and other Marvel characters with X.
But James, remember, those mutants are X-Men, and the X-Men movies are owned by Fox, and Marvel can't have that.
And Marvel's going to kill off X-Men by the end of the year. Blah 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 blah. I don't know.
But yeah, so yeah, I like that Peter's the one who teaches him about power and responsibility. That stuff's all good. Again, the Harry Lyman scene is terrible. I hate it. I hate the Harry Lyman thing so much, and I'm going to complain about it until it goes away. But the one thing I did like, though, is I really liked that when you is going to put on a costume and fight you, I actually kind of like that Peter's like, oh, man, Harry, you've worked so hard. Because here's the thing. That's not entirely unbelievable because Harry's done that like 3 different times. And so I can understand that, and especially because Harry's the one who sticks out more in Peter's mind, that it makes sense to me that that's the person he goes to first at that moment. The only thing I didn't really like about this issue, once again, was Clash. I hate the character, and I hate. I'm really hoping he gets his ass kicked here. But other than that, there's not much else to talk about. The Peter scene is funny. I'll be honest with you. It's enjoyable. It's funny, awkward Peter Johnny banter between them. I felt it was one of the best industry status quo that we've gotten so far. You know, the status quo. Oh, God. And seems to not be going anywhere in the near future. And so I'm glad that we're at least get at least one issue. And so that's really all I have to say. I give this issue a thumbs up, a very solid first part. And I look forward. Think of Civil War 2 and 1 here.
It's a good comic. I'll admit that. It's really good. I like the cover. It's like something you would see out of the original Civil War. The torn between 2 sides, Peter Parker like this, face palm, and the shattered glass effect. Except for this being misleading because in nowhere is Peter completely over what side he's on. Yeah, so you got that going on. I like the whole kind of action in the beginning with Vulturettes or Voltron or whatever the fuck they're called. The not Blacky Dragos, let's just call them that, okay?
The Vulturians, I think they're
the Flash Harry moment. I mean, the Flash, the Johnny and Peter moment is weird. Not homophobic. I'm not saying that, but it's just like, hey, let's draw a naked, Johnny's naked and throwing a pillow at Peter, and they're arguing about sleeping in the same bed, and be here. I can see why people would say it's like obvious. Like when people say that, well, there's too much tits and ass in comics. Well, here's your counter of the guys do it too. It just felt really out of place. It's in context. Like if it was 2 chicks in the scene, I would say the same thing. It's like that's really kind of out of place and weird, bro. This moment, I just found that moment weird. The rest of it is pretty good. The Colton stuff was okay. I agree with John. He's not really the best villain. It's pretty obvious that he was trying again. I mean, you didn't have to be a brain surgeon to know that. The thing I want to bring up, though, is I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. And that is that Peter's going to do everything in his power to prevent Clayton from turning. And that's going to cause him to turn.
Because that's the old Parker luck, isn't it?
Yep. And that's probably what's going to happen there with Clayton. It feels so weird that it confirms every fear I think everybody had is that Slott has too much on his plate. So he's like, I got too many subplots going on here. I got Otto. I got, the Zodiacs. I got Peter and his company. I got Peter and his girlfriend and her dying mother. I got the Mr. Napier stuff. I got Civil War tie-in stuff. I got so much on my plate. I got Clayton Cole on my plate. I got Harry on my plate and Liz. I got Regent on my plate. I got Mary Jane on my plate. Oh, God, I got too much here. I got Cage, that mini-series they want us to do for Spider-Man at the time, the Civil War 2. Just throw the Clayton thing in there.
Oh, James, you mean all those subplots that he hasn't touched? Like,
exactly. This should have been something that's been dealt with gradually in Amazing Spider-Man, and it's going to be the way it sounds, just wrapped up here in this one shot that some people might not pick up because it's not the mainstream Amazing numbering, and it's the tie into Civil War that they may or may not be reading.
It's like, I don't buy the excuse that Dan Slott has too much on his plate because he's clearly not touching any of it.
Okay, he's that kid picking with his food, and he has too much on the plate, and he's picking with the food. Is that better?
Yeah, that's kind of about right.
He's doomsday prepping. He's that guy who's got all that food in the shelter, and here's the can of beans and fruit to somebody else who needed it.
All right, James. So do you give this issue a thumbs up, a thumbs sideways, or a thumbs down?
It's a thumbs up. It's a really good issue. There's some things I don't really like. I thought the artwork was decent but not great. The cover is one of those misleading covers that me and John have been talking about the last 2 months. But everything else is pretty positive, and it sounds bad, but there's been only a handful of Amazing Spider-Man issues in the last year I could say I really like. Got to be one of the top ones, and it's not written by Slott.
Which, I mean, we insult Dan Slott regularly on this podcast, and
but Gage I thought was better. When Gage filled in for him on issues of Amazing and Superior before, I felt like those were really good stories. When he did, what was it, the run of not Avenging, but what was it called? The book after Avenging?
Superior Team Up?
I thought that was a better portrayal of Spock than Superior had.
Yeah, we don't mean to come off as dicks who hate Dan Slott. It's just because we don't hate Dan Slott. We really don't, or at least I don't. But we apologize if we come off like dicks sometimes. So that's pretty much all we have to say about this issue. That's going to conclude our reviews for this episode. That's also going to conclude this episode of the podcast. We don't really have anything else to talk about this week. It's been a pretty slow week. I'm going to be honest. This was actually the only Marvel book that I picked up this week. There was nothing on my pull list for this week except for that. There's not been any news except for the Gonki casting. So it's been so not really that much to talk about. So I guess James,
John, we got some news to cover. Breaking news just came in. They cast Michael Keaton, and he is Norman. It's going to be the Goblin as the main villain.
You're bullshitting me.
How awesome would that be if literally said we had no other news than the news, bro?
I was like, you're shitting me. They're not been.
I was trying to think of something really good to say there, and I just went with the Michael Keaton thing. Because the first thought was, oh my god, they confirmed that after Dead No More, Slott's runs over and Amazing, and I felt like no, because I don't want people to say I'm a dick to Slott anymore. So I switched to my second best one was Marvin.
All right, James. But do you have any shout outs or final words for the listeners before we sign off?
John, I'm sorry. Sorry. We forgot his birthday. Happy birthday to you, John.
What? It's not my birthday?
I have nothing else to say. I'm sorry.
It is not.
Happy birthday. If it's anybody who's watching it's birthday, happy birthday.
I was going to say, my birthday is not for another few months. So it is not my birthday. It's not my birthday, people. But my shout out this week: Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Christos Gage, Travis Foreman, all of them. Thank you for Spider-Man. Thank you for the comics we reviewed this week. Other shout out: Pure Aqua Spring Water, because I always drink you on the podcast. If these people want to sponsor us, I'm going to be open to it. Other shout outs for the week. Oh my god, I had one. And I literally just lost it. Oh, I know what my shout out was going to be. I was talking to James about this before the show. That show, Two Broke Girls.
Oh my god.
That is the dumbest show I think I've ever seen in my life. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But for whatever reason, I could not turn it off last night. I like never watched it before, and it was for those of you who don't know, the brunette
the nearest asylum to where John lives. Yeah, John brought up 2012 and Two Broke Girls on our podcast. Can you please take him in? He's clearly mentally insane. Thank you.
Wait, James, it took you this long to figure that out? This is 96 episodes in, James.
96 episodes in. Now? Because I didn't come into like the first 15.
Okay, so that's 81. Whatever. But yeah, that show is stupid beyond all belief, and it's terrible, and it's awful, and it's ridiculous, and it's moronic, and it's so freaking ridiculous, but I can't help but like it. It's so weird. It's like, it's terrible about TV in general, I'm going to say, but I cannot help but laugh at its ridiculous. It's so bad, it's terrible.
So, John, what day is going to be episode 100?
Oh God. Probably the week after the 4th of July, I think. It's either, it's like the second or third weekend in July, I think. No idea when that is. I don't even know when July 1st is. I think July 1st is a Friday. I want to say it's a Friday. And so, yes, we are fast approaching our 100th episode. We are, I know those of you who are watching on YouTube, I know that the episode title says episode 53 on this, but we did an iTunes exclusive show from the end of 2013 all the way up through like July 2014. Plus, we had two pilot episodes for this show that aren't on this channel. And so that makes 43 episodes that we've also done in addition to the 53 that we've done on here. And so we have 96 episodes. This is our 96th episode worth of podcasting content, or at least my 96th episode. It's like James' 81st. We're fast approaching our 100th episode, and that is something we want to throw out. If anyone has any ideas on what we should do for that 100th episode, because I got nothing. I mean, I got 4 weeks to figure it out, but I got nothing right now. And it's not really stressing me out, but it's going to stress me out the closer we get to it. If anyone has any requests on anything they'd like to see, feel free to leave them in the comments. Feel free to email us at Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow at gmail.com. No hyphens, no apostrophes or anything. Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow at gmail.com. That's our email address. So if you want to send some...
Yeah, John, you literally need to figure out what we're doing for 100. Like, because I think, I still say this, 100 is going to be, a pretty big fucking deal.
When we hit episode 100, we're legit, ladies and gentlemen. We're not just one of those after 41 episodes and then came back.
Which we were originally.
And then came back 6 months later and did 4 more episodes. And then took a break for 2 months because of reasons I don't want to talk about. And then came back and
had a shitty back-there pilot where we reviewed Ultimate Spider-Man, me, Jan, and Jacob, which was total shit.
This podcast has died and restarted started times. Like 3 different times. It's like, you know what it's like. It's like this podcast is like Aunt May. We've
Oh God.
We've been shot, we've been knocked down, but we keep coming back to annoy people. That's what we are. This podcast is like Aunt May. But unlike Aunt May, we can't say that everyone's been on us.
Jesus Christ, John.
Okay. I'm just, maybe I should just end the podcast right now before I say something worse. But
you already did.
Oh yeah, I already said probably the worst possible things I could say. So thank you all for tuning in. We apologize for whatever we may have just said in the past 2 minutes. Okay.
You're continuing old women's sex. You are a pervert.
You were making the jokes earlier, like in previous episodes.
You're a GILF fan, aren't you? A GILF fan. Grandma, I like to fuck.
No, not
How about John?
I'm going to say no. And that is just, no, that's disgusting. I was making a joke, James.
No, you weren't making a joke. You were letting us in on your sick perversion. Why would you, out of every anime thing you could have said, you could have said 1,000 things. You go, we're like,
okay, I'm not sure, but we may have just lost James's audio there. So, yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. We hope to see you next week. We apologize for anyone we may have just offended. But yes, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next week. We have Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4 next week, so a new issue of ASM. So be sure to tune back in for that. See you all later.